Then one day I said, most of them are not
Om
following.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Magdanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurun Miritam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swaparantikam. Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yutapatakalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrijatam Sahagana Raguna Tanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Pando Jagatpate Kupesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषाभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमः विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामी नितिनामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवारी पाशद्दाय देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Haribol. So welcome everyone to reading session. Today we continue chapter 3. Oh, 1 second. What's that? Yes, so today we continue chapter 13 and no, chapter 3 and text 13. Okay, I can read the first one. Yagna shista shinah santo muchyante sarva kilbisai bunjate tetvagam agam papa ye panchatma karanat. Yagna shista, food taken after performance of yagna. Ashinaha, eaters. Santaha, the devotees. Muchante, get relief from. Sarva, all kinds of kilbisai, sins. Bunjate, enjoy. Te, they. Two, but. Agam, grievous sins. Papaha, sinners. Ye, those. Pachanti, prepare food. Atmakaranat, for sense enjoyment. Translation. The devotees of the Lord are released from all kinds of sins because they eat food which is offered first for sacrifice. Others who prepare food for personal sense enjoyment verily eat only sin. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The devotees of the Supreme Lord, or the persons who are in Krishna consciousness, are called santas, and they are always in love with the Lord as it is described in the Brahma Samhita. Premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena sandah sadeva hridayeshu vilokayanti. The santas, being always in compact of love with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda, the giver of all pleasures, or Mukunda, the giver of liberation, or Krishna, the all-attractive person, cannot accept anything without first offering it to the Supreme Person. Therefore, such devotees always perform yagnas in different modes of devotional service, such as Sravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Archanam, etc. And these performances of yagnas keep them always aloof from all kinds of contaminations of sinful association in the material world. Others who prepare food for self or sense gratification are not only thieves, but are also the eaters of all kinds of sins. How can a person be happy if he is both a thief and sinful? It is not possible. Therefore, in order for people to become happy in all respects, they must be taught to perform this easy process of Sankirtan Yagna in full Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, there can be no peace or happiness in the world. Haribol. Okay, who wants to read the next verse? Hare Krishna, Vivek Prabhu and Sujay Prabhu. Dandat Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
आनंद भवन्ति भुवन्ति अनाद अनाद भवन्ति भूतानि प्रजन्याद अन्न संभवः यजनाद भवति प्रजान्यो यजनः कर्म समुद्भवः अनत् from grains bhavanti grow bhutani the material bodies prajayanti from rain anna food grains sambhava are made possible yajanati from the performance of sacrifice bhavati becomes possible prajan prajanya rain yajana hai performance of yajana karma prescribed duties sambhuva born of translation all living bodies All living bodies subsist on food grains which are produced from grains. Grains are produced by performance of yagna, and yagna is born of prescribed duties. Purport. Sri Baladev Vidyabhushan, a great commentator on Bhagavad Gita, write as follow. ये इन्द्राद्यङ्गनत्वा वस्तिहतं यजिनां सर्वेश्वानं विष्णुम् अभ्यर्च्य तच्छेषम् अश्नान्ति तेन तद्धया यन्त्रं सम्पदयन्ति ते सन्तः सर्वेश्वरः भक्ति सर्वत्र किल वशेर अनादि किल काल विवर्धवेर आत्मनुभव प्रतिबंधकेर निकलेशः पापेर विमुच्यन्ते. The supreme Lord, who is known as the Yajna Purusha or the personal beneficiary of all sacrifices, is the master of all demigods who serve him as the different limbs of the body, sphere of the whole. Demigods like Indra, Chandra, Varuna, etc. are appointed officers who manage material affairs, and the Vedas directed sacrifice to satisfy these demigods so that they may be pleased to supply air, light, and water sufficiently to produce food grains. When Lord Krishna is worshipped, the demigods who are different limbs of the Lord are also automatically worshipped. Therefore, there is no separate need to worship the demigod for this reason. The devotees of the Lord who are in Krishna consciousness offer food to Krishna and eat a process which nourishes the body spiritually. By such action, not only are past sinful reaction on this body vanquished, but the body becomes immunized to all contamination of material nature. When there is an epidemic disease in a antiseptic vaccine protect a person from the attacks of such an epidemic. Similarly, food offered to the Lord Vishnu and taken by us make us sufficiently resistant to material affection, and one who is accustomed to this practice is called a devotee of Lord. Therefore, a person in Krishna consciousness who eat only food offered to Krishna can contract all reaction of past material infections which are impediment to the process of self-realization. On the other hand, one who does not to do so continue to increase the volume of sinful action, and this prepares the next body to resemble hawks and dogs to suffer the resultant reaction of all sins. The material world is full of contaminations, and one who is immunized by accepting prasadam of the Lord, food offered to Vishnu, is saved from the tax. Wherever one who does not to do so becomes subjected to contamination. Food, grains, or vegetables are factually eatable. The human being eats different kinds of food, grain, vegetable, fruit, etc., and the animals eat the refuse of the food, grains, and vegetable, grass, plants, and etc. Human beings who are accustomed accused to eat and meat and flesh must also depend on the production of vegetation in order to eat the animal. Therefore, ultimately, we have to depend on the production of the field and not on the production of big factories. The field production is due to sufficient rain from the sky, and such rains are controlled by demigods like Indra, Sun, Moon, etc. And they are also servant of the Lord. The Lord can be satisfied by sacrifices. Therefore, one who cannot perform them will find himself in scarcity. That is the law of nature. Yagna, specifically the Sankirtana Yagna prescribed for this age, must therefore be performed to save us at least from scarcity of food supply.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Who wants to read the next verse?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Please accept my humble obeisance of our Guru Shri Srila Prabhupada. Karmo dharmo bhavam vidhi brahmakshara samud samud samudbhava tasmat sarvagatam brahma nityam jnan yag yag nityam yajne prasthitam. Karma, work, Brahma, Vedas, uh, Udbhavam, produced from Vidhi. One should know Brahma, the Vedas, Aksara, the Supreme Brahman, personality of Godhead, Samudbhavam, indirectly manifested, Tasmat, therefore, Sarvagatam, all prevailing, Brahma, transcendence, Nityam, internally, Yagni, listening, in sacrifice, in sacrifice, uh, for, pratishthitam, pratishthitam, situated, uh, translation, the regulated activities are described in the Vedas, and the Vedas are directly manifested from the personality, Supreme Personality of Godhead. Consequently, the all prevailing transcendence is internally situated in acts of sacrifice. Purport: Yagnartara karma, Yajnartha karma, or the necessity of work for the gratification of Krishna only is more expressly stated in this verse. If we have to work for the gratification of the Yajna Purusha Vishnu, then we must find out the direction of work in Brahman or transcendental Vedas. The Vedas are therefore codes of working directions. Anything performed without the direction of the Vedas is called vikarma, or unauthorized or sinful work. Therefore, one should always take direction from the Vedas to be saved from the reactions of work. As one has to work in ordinary life by the direction of the state. Similarly, one has to work under direction of supreme state of the Lord. Such directions in the Vedas are directly manifested from the breathing of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is stated, Asya Mahato Bhuttasya Nasva Nasva Nasvasitam Yad Vedo Yajurveda Samavido Tatravan Girasaha. The four Vedas, namely the Veda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, and Atharva Veda. All are emanations from the breathing of the great personality of Godhead. The Lord being omnipotent can speak by breathing here, or as it is confirmed in the Brahma Samhita, for the Lord has the omnipotency to perform through each one of his senses the actions of all other senses. In other words, the Lord can speak through his breathing, and he can impregate by his life. In fact, it is stated that he glanced over material nature and those furthered all living entities. After creating or impregnating the conditioned soul into the womb of material nature, he direction in the Vedic wisdom as to how such conditioned soul can return home back to Godhead. We should always remember that the conditioned soul is in material nature are all eager for material enjoyment, but the Vedic direction also made that one can satisfy one's perverted desires, then return to audit. Having finished his so-called enjoyment, it is a chance for the conditioned soul to attain liberation. Therefore, the conditioned soul must try to follow the process of yajna by becoming Krishna consciousness. Even those who cannot follow the Vedic injunctions may adopt the principles of Krishna consciousness, and that will take the place of performance of Vedic yajna or karma. Hare Krishna. Can I continue next?
Okay, text 16.
Wants to
Nibo. Evam pravartitam chakram nanuvartat yati yatiha ya agayur indriya ramo mogam partha sajivati. Evam, thus prescribed, pavartitam, established by the Vedas, chakram, cycle, na, does not, anuvartayati, adopt, iha, in this life, yaha, one who, agayuhu, life full of sins, indriya ara maha, satisfied in sense gratification, mogam, useless, partha, O son of Pritha, Arjuna, saha, one who does so, jivati, lives. Translation. My dear Arjuna, a man who does not follow this prescribed Vedic system of sacrifice certainly leads a life of sin, for a person delighting only in the senses lives in vain. Purport. The Mammonist philosophy of work very hard and enjoy sense gratification is condemned herein by the Lord. Therefore, for those who want to enjoy this material world, the above-mentioned cycle of performing yagnas is absolutely necessary. One who does not follow such regulations is living a very risky life, being condemned more and more. By nature's law, this human form of life is specially meant for self-realization in either of the three ways, namely karma yoga, jnana yoga, or bhakti yoga. There is no necessity of rigidly following the performances of the prescribed yagnas for the transcendentalists who are above vice and virtue. But those who are engaged in sense gratification require purification by the above-mentioned cycles of yagna process performances. There are different kinds of activities. Those who are not Krishna conscious are certainly engaged in sensory consciousness. Therefore, they need to execute pious work. The yagna system is planned in such a way that sensory conscious persons may satisfy their desires without being entangled in the reaction of sensory gratification work. So if they try this sense gratification without yagna, then they get entangled in the reactions of sense gratification work. So yagna is required. The prosperity of the world depends not on our own efforts, but on the background arrangement of the Supreme Lord, directly carried out by the demigods. Therefore, the yagnas are directly aimed at the particular demigod mentioned in the Vedas. Indirectly, it is the practice of Krishna consciousness, because when one masters the performance of yagnas, one is sure to become Krishna conscious. But if by performing yagnas one does not become Krishna conscious, such principles are counted as only moral codes. One should not therefore limit his progress only to the point of moral codes, but should transcend them to attain Krishna consciousness. Okay, one more. Yastvatmaratir eva syad atma triptascha manavaha atmanevacha santushtas tasya karyam na vidyate. Yaha, one who too, but Atmarati takes pleasure, Eva certainly Syat remains Atmatriptaha, self-illuminated, cha and manavaha, a man, atmani, in himself, eva only, cha and santushtaha, perfectly satiated. Tasya, his, karyam, duty, na does not, vidyate, exist. Translation. One who is, however, taking pleasure in the self, who is illuminated in the self, who rejoices in and is satisfied with the self only, fully satiated, for him there is no duty. Purport. A person who is fully Krishna conscious and is fully satisfied by his acts in Krishna consciousness no longer has any duty to perform. Due to his being Krishna conscious, all impiety within is instantly cleansed, and effect of many thousands of yagna performances. By such clearing of consciousness, one becomes fully confident of his eternal position in relationship with the Supreme. His duty thus becomes self-illuminated by the grace of the Lord, and therefore he no longer has any obligations to the Vedic injunctions. Such a Krishna conscious person is no longer interested in material activities and no longer takes pleasure in material arrangements like wine, woman, and similar infatuations. From this purport to my mind comes one verse, but I don't remember it. I want to find it. Okay, who wants to read the next one?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Yes,
Naiva tasya kritenarto nakratenah kaschana na chasya sarvabhuteshu kaschid artha sarayah na never eva hatanti tasya hi kritena by discharge of duty artha purpose nor kritena without the discharge of duty. Yeah, in this word chana whatever na never cha and asya of him sarva bhuteshu in all living beings kaschit any artha purpose vyapa asraya taking shelter of next translation. Yet self-realized man has no purpose to fulfill in the discharge of his prescribed duties, nor has he any reason for to perform such work, nor has he any need to depend on any other living beings. Purport. A self-realized man is no longer obliged to perform any prescribed duty, save and expert activities in Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is not inactivity. Okay. Neither, as we will be explained in the following verse, the Krishna consciousness man does not take shelter of any person, man or demigod. Whatever he does in Krishna consciousness is sufficient in the discharge of his obligation. Who wants to continue, bro? Devotees.
Prabhu, does someone want to read also?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna,
Can I
Prabhu.
read?
Please accept my
Yes,
humble obeisances
you
of
go.
Krishna Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Shri. Yes.
तस्माद् आसक्तः सततं कार्यं कर्म समासर आसक्तो हि आचरन् कर्म परम अपनोति पुरुषः. तस्मात्, therefore, आसक्तः without attachment, asakta without attachment, satatam constantly, karyam as duty, karma work, samachara perform, asakta, non-attachment. He certainly, acharan, performing, karma, work, param, the supreme, apnoti, achieves, purusha, a man. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. No, therefore, without being attached to the fruit of activities, one should act as a matter of duty, for by working without attachment, one attains the supreme purport. The supreme is the personality of Godhead for the devotees and liberation for the impersonalities. A person, therefore, acting for Krishna or in Krishna consciousness under proper guidance and without attachment to the result of the work is certainly making progress toward the supreme goal of the life. Arjuna is told that he should fight in the battle of the Kurukshetra for the interest of Krishna, because Krishna wanted him to fight. To be a good man or a non-violent man is a personal attachment. But to act on behalf of the Supreme is to act without attachment for the result. That is perfect action of the highest degree, recommended by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Vedic rituals like prescribed duty sacrifices are performed for the purification of impious activities that are performed in the field of sense gratification. But action in Krishna consciousness is transcendental to the reaction of good or evil work. A Krishna consciousness person has no attachment for the result, but act on behalf of the Krishna alone. He engages in all kind of activities, but it completely non-attached. Should I continue, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. कर्माण्येव हि संसिद्धिम् अस्थिता जनकादया लोकसंग्रहम् एवापि सम्पाश्यान् कर्तुम् अर्हसि. Karmana, by work, even he certainly samsiddhim, perfection, asti, situated, Janaka Adaya, king like Janaka and others, Loka Sangraham, educating the people in general, Eva also, Api, for the sake of Sampasyan, by considering Kartum, to act, Arhasi, deserve. Translation. Even king like Janaka and other attain the perfectional stage by performance of the sacrifice prescribed duties. Therefore, just for the sake of educating the people in general, you should perform your work. Purport. Kings like Janaka and others were all self-realized souls. Consequently, they had no obligation to perform the prescribed duty in the Vedas. Nonetheless, they perform all prescribed activities just to set example for the people in general. Janaka was the father of Sita and father-in-law of Lord Sri Rama. Being a great devotee of the Lord, he was transcendentally situated. But because he was the king of the Mithila, a subdivision of the Behar Province in the India, he had to teach his subject how to fight righteously in the battle. He and his subject fought to teach people in the general that violence is also necessary in situation where good argument fell. Before the battle of the Kurukshetra, every effort was made to avoid the war, even by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but the other party was determined to fight. So for much such a right cause, there is a necessity for fighting. Although one who is situated in the Krishna consciousness may not have any interest in the world, he still works to teach the people how to live and how to act. experienced person in Krishna consciousness can act in such a way that others will follow. And this is explained in the following verses. यद यद आचराति श्रेष्ठः तद तद एवतारो जना सायत परमानाम कुरुते लोक तद अनुवर्तते. Yad whatever, yad the, and whichever, achrati does he act, sreshtah respectable leader, tad tat that and that alone, ever certainly, it itaraha common, jana person, saha he, yat whichever, parmanam evidence, kurute does perform, loka all the word, tat that, anuvartate follow in the footstep. Translation: whatever action is performed by a great man, common men follow in his footstep, and whatever standard he set by exemplary set act, all the word perceives. Purport: people in general always require a leader who can teach the public by practical behavior. A leader cannot teach the public to stop smoking if he is scroll Prabhu himself smokes. Lord Chaitanya said that a teacher should behave properly even before he begins teaching. One who teaches in that way is called Acharya, or the ideal teacher. Therefore, a teacher must follow the principle of Shastras, scriptures, to, to reach the common man. The teacher cannot manufacture rules against the principle of a revealed scripture. The revealed scriptures like Manu Samhita and similar others, the considered the standard books to be followed by human society. Thus, the leader's teaching should be based on the principle of standard rule of as they are practiced by the great teachers. The Srimad Bhagavatam also affirms that one should follow in the footstep of the great devotees, and that is the way of progress on the path of the spiritual realization. The king or executive head of the state, the father and the school teacher are all considered to be neutral leader of the innocent people in general. All such all such neutral leaders have great responsibility to their dependent. Therefore, they must be convergent with the standard book of moral and spiritual code.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Okay,
Can
Haribol.
take more?
Yes, Prabhu, you can read one more if you want.
Okay, bro.
Haribol. Thank you.
Name पार्थास्ति कर्तव्यं त्रिषु लोकेषु किञ्चनः नानावप्तम् अवाप्तव्यं व्रता एव च कर्मणि. None, me, mine, Partha, O son of Pratha, Asti, there is, Kartavyam, any prescribed duty, Trishu, in the three Lokesu, planetary system, Kinchana, anything, Na, no, Avaptyam, in want, Avaptyam, to be gained, Vartate, engaged, Eva, certainly, Cha, also, Karmani, in one's prescribed duty. Translation: O son of Pratha, there is no work prescribed for me within all the three planetary systems, nor am I in want of anything, nor have I need to obtain anything, and yet I am engaged in the work. Scroll through. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is described in the Vedic literature as follows. Tam Iswaram Param Maheswaram Tam Devatanam Paramam Cha Devatam Patitanam Paramam Parastada Vidima Deva Bhuve भुवनेश्वरम् इद्यं न तस्य कार्यं करणं च विद्यते न तद समास सब सभ्य सभ्य सभ्या दीक्षा च दृश्यते परस्य शक्तिर्विविध विविधेव विविध श्रूयते स्वभक् भाविकी janana bala kriya cha. The Supreme Lord is the controller of all the controllers, and He is the greatest of all the diverse planetary leaders. Everyone in the under his everyone is under His control, and all entities are delegated with the particular power only by the Supreme Lord. They are not supreme themselves. He is also worshipable by all the and demigods and is the supreme director of all directors. Therefore, he is transcendental to all kind of the material leaders and controllers and is the worshipable by all. There is no one greater than him, and he is the supreme cause of all causes. He does not possess a bodily form like that of an ordinary living entity. There is no difference between his body and soul. He is absolute. All his senses are transcendental. Any of his senses can perform the action of any other senses. Therefore, no one is greater than him or equal to him. His potencies are multifarious, and thus his deeds are automatically performed as the natural sequences. Shvetaswaram Upanishad 678. 6 chapter 7 8. Since everything is in the full opulence in the personality of Godhead and it is existing in the full truth, there is no duty for the supreme personality of the Godhead to perform. One who must receive the result of the work has some designated duty. But one who has nothing to achieve within the three planetary system certainly has no duty. And yet, Lord Krishna is engaged on the battlefield of the Kurukshetra as the leader of the Satriyas, because the Satriyas are duty bound to give protection to the distressed. Although although he is above all the regulation of the revealed scripture, he does not do anything that violates the revealed scripture. Rebol.
Ribo. Thanks so much, Prabhu. Yadi hya aham na varteyam jatu karman atandritaha mama vartmanu vartante manushya partha sarvasaha. Yadi, if he, certainly, aham, I, na, do not, varteyam, thus engage, jatu, ever, karmani, in the performance of prescribed duties, atandritaha, with great care, mama, my, vartma, path, anuvartante, would follow, manusyaha, all men, partha, o son of Pritha, sarvasaha, in all respects. Translation. For if I did not engage in work, O Partha, certainly all men would follow my path. Purport. Imagine if Krishna came and he didn't do anything. He didn't kill any demons. He would be just sleeping, not doing anything. Then all the men would just be sleeping and following. Purport. In order to keep the balance of social tranquility for progress in spiritual life, there are traditional family usages meant for every civilized man. Although such rules and regulations are for the conditioned souls and not Lord Krishna, because he descends to establish the principles of religion. He followed the prescribed rules. Otherwise, common man would follow in his footsteps because he is the greatest authority. From the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is understood that Lord Krishna was performing all the religious duties at home and out of home, as required as householder. Hare Krishna, Ero Prabhu Dandat Pranam, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Okay, Ero Prabhu, you can read the next one if you're not in a bad situation.
I'm on the bus, but I can also read.
Yes, Prabhu.
Kuryam karma chena karasya chakartas vahanam
Prabhu, can you put the microphone a little bit closer so it's more clear?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, Prabhu. Prabhu, it's cutting a little bit because there is, yeah, it's like it's not like too.
Hello.
Haribol. Yes, Prabhu, I think it's not clear enough. Okay, I can read this one.
Okay. Okay.
It's okay. Thank you, Prabhu, for trying.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yes, thank you.
Haribol. Okay, I read the verse. Utsideyurime loka na kuryam karma chedaham sankarasya cha kartashyam upahanyam imah prajaha. Utsideyuhu, put into ruin, ime, all these lokaha, worlds, na, do not, kuryam, perform, karma, prescribed duties, chet, if, aham, I, sankarasya, of unwanted population, cha, and karta, creator, sham, shall be, upahanyam, destroy, imaha, all these, prajaha, living entities. Translation: if I should cease to work, then all these worlds would be put to ruination. I would also be the cause of creating unwanted population, and I would thereby destroy the peace of all sentient beings. Purport: Varna Sankara is unwanted population which disturbs the peace of the general society. In order to check this social disturbance, there are prescribed rules and regulations by which the population can automatically become peaceful and organized for spiritual progress in life. When Lord Krishna descends, naturally he deals with such rules and regulations in order to maintain the prestige and necessity of such important performances. The Lord is the Father of all living entities, and if the living entities are misguided, indirectly the responsibility goes to the Lord. Therefore, whenever there is general disregard of regulative principles, the Lord himself descends and corrects the society. We should, however, note carefully that although we have to follow in the footsteps of the Lord, we still have to remember that we cannot imitate him. Following and imitating are not on the same level. We cannot imitate the Lord by lifting Govardhan Hill, as the Lord did in his childhood. It is impossible for any human being. We have to follow his instructions, but we may not imitate him at any time. The Srimad Bhagavatam affirms, Naitat samachare jatu manasapihya anishvara vinashyatu acharan maudyat yatha rudro bijam visham ishvaranam vachah satyam tataiva charitam kvachit tesham yat svavacho yuktam buddhimam tatsamacharet. One should simply follow the instructions of the Lord and his empowered servants. Their instructions are all good for us, and any intelligent person will perform them as instructed. However, one should guard against trying to imitate their actions. Yeah, this is nice verse, Bhagavatam. Follow the instructions of the Lord and his empowered servants. Yeah, this is like straight to Christians. Their instructions are all good for us, and any intelligent person will perform them as instructed. However, one should guard against trying to imitate their actions. Yeah, they say Jesus did this, Jesus did that, I want to do also. So they should not imitate. One should not try to drink the ocean of poison in imitation of Lord Shiva. Bhagavatam 10:33-30. We should always consider the position of the Ishvaras, or those who can actually control the movements of the sun and moon, as superior. Without such power, one cannot imitate the Ishvaras, who are super powerful. Lord Shiva drank poison to the extent of swallowing an ocean. But if any common man tries to drink even a fragment of such poison, he will be killed. There are many pseudo devotees of Lord Shiva who want to indulge in smoking ganja, marijuana, and similarly intoxicating drugs, forgetting that by so imitating the acts of Lord Shiva, they are calling death very near. Similarly, there are some pseudo devotees of Lord Krishna who prefer to imitate the Lord in his Rasa Leela, or dance of love, forgetting their inability to lift Govardhan hill. It is best, therefore, that one not try to imitate the powerful, but simply follow their instructions, nor should one try to occupy their post without qualification. There are so many incarnations of God without the power of the Supreme Godhead. Yeah, so-called incarnations. Okay, Haribol. Now we need to go to six Astakam prayers. And there is one verse that was related to those verses. Oh, it's from Bhagavad Gita. It's in the purport. This is for the duties, because the few previous verses, where are we? 25. Proceed. This. It's no purpose. Haribol, Nitai Gaur. Oh, we read many verses today. Anyways, I'll show the verse. It's related to duties and giving up the inferior duties for the higher duties. It's from Bhagavad Gita purport. Yes, this verse. This is really nice verse. Sandhya vandana bhadramastu bhavato boshana tupyam namo bodevah pitarascha tarpana vidau naham kshamah kshamyatam yatra kvapi nisadya yadava kulottamasyas kamsadvisha smaram agam harami tadalam manye kimanye name. This is same tune as Sri Shiksastakam first verse. Cheto Darpana. Sandhya Vandana Bhadramastu Bhavato. All my prayers 3 times a day, all glory to you, O Baiting, I offer my obeisances unto you, O demigods, O forefathers, please excuse me for my inability to offer my respects. Now, wherever I sit, I can remember the great descendant of the Yadu dynasty Krishna, the enemy of Kamsa, and thereby I can free myself from all sinful bondage. I think this is sufficient for me. So this is the high stage when one can give up.
This sloka quoted by Tatit Prabhu last lecture.
Yes, Prabhu. This is very nice one.
He was describing about his father's funeral activities that Brahmanas, they wanted to do some rituals.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, I remember it.
So, mm, so he denied all the things. He was just doing Hare Krishna Mahamantra.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, now I remembered the story. Haribol. Cheto darpanamarjanam pavamahadavagnirvapanam shreyah kairavachandrika vitaranam vidyavadu jivanam anandam pudivardhanam pratipadam purnamritasvadanam sarvatma snapanam param vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam.
नाम्नाम् अकारि बहुधा निज सर्वशक्ति तत्र पितानि हमिता स्मरणे न काल एतादृशी त्वकृपा भगवान् ममापि दुर्दैव दृशन् यः जानानि नानुग्रह.
तृणादपि सुनीचेन तरोरपि सहिष्णुना अमानेन मानदेन कीर्तनीये सदा हरि
मनोजनं सुन्दरं कवितं वाचकधीशामहे ममजन्मनीश्वरे भगवद्भक्तिरहैतुकी
Kero Prabhu, you can also try now.
Ajinandanuchakaram papitam mam shame pavam budao payatava param pankaja kita tuli tatrasam chitaya.
Haribol.
Haribol.
Nayanam galadashrudaraya vadanam gadgada rudaya gira pulakarnichitam vapu kada tavanama grahane bhavishyati.
युगायितं निमिषेण चक्षुषा प्रवशतां शून्यहितं जगत्सर्वं गोविन्दं विरहेण मे.
आशिलस्य वा पादरतां रतन आशिलस्य वा पादरतां पिनष्टु माम् अदर्शनां न महर्तां करोतु वा यथा तथा वा विदधातु लम्पटो मत्प्राणनतस्तु स एव न परा
Haribol. Glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large, because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. Now I only realized that here it's said that it spreads the rays of the benediction moon, and you know the moon controls the sea waves and ocean.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes,
and
bro.
here it says it increases the ocean. Now I just got the connection with this moon and ocean. I was always thinking, why moon and why ocean? Now I understand. Terrible second one.
O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to the living being, and thus you have hundred and millions of the names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rule for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by your holy name, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them.
one should chant the holy name of the Lord in humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all senses of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respects to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly.
Oh Almighty Lord, I have
Oh.
no desire. Oh, you can continue.
Continue.
Oh
Continue,
Almighty
bro. You
Lord,
can continue.
I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your cautious devotional service. Thank you, Prabhu.
Haribol.
Oh, O son of Rajananda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. Yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet.
O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? Yeah, here is said like this, but my prayer would be when I could chant some rounds without inattentiveness. That would be my what to speak of the ecstatic symptoms.
Oh, Govinda, feeling your separation, I'm considering a moment to be like 12 year more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrent of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence, Prabhu. When I will feel like this even.
Yes, Prabhu.
I know one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handle me roughly by his embrace or make me and broken hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything. For he is always my worshipful Lord unconditionally.
Hri Bol, Shri Siksastakam ki jai, Harinam Sankirtan ki jai,
Jai,
Nityananda ki jai, Shri Krishna
Jai,
Mahaprabhu ki
Jai,
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 Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaura
Jai,
Premanande,
Jai.
Shri Hari
Jai.
Bol.
Jai.